Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm glad you're here this Monday morning, starting off a good week on our show. All kinds of things coming up this week. A special guest here today, but first, let's take a look at our weather brought to us by Gulf Coast Air Conditioning, Drew Pollard, and a hard-working crew taking care of everyday comfort needs. The high around 90, 92. The low, though, is what's bad because the low's going to only get down to about 80 degrees. Our wind direction will be coming out of the west at 12, so it's sort of swung around over the last couple of days. Water temperature at the end of the pier, we're looking again at 85 degrees. Our Monday moon forecast, and it's real easy to forecast because tonight is a full moon. Actually, last night was 100%, tonight's going to be 97%, but we're still in the full moon of June. I've heard some interesting reports from fishermen about how the moon is affecting their fishing, and it will, especially spring and summer. Our tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn. High tide this morning, 10:24. Really strong tides, strong outgoing tides, about 8:25 tonight. And of course, our moon forecast brought to us by Panama City Coca-Cola. All right, okay, let's take a break. We'll be right back with our special guest. Welcome back, and welcome back to our guest, Dennis Jarrell. Been on the show before. Welcome back, buddy.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be back. It's always a pleasure to be here with you and try to spread a little knowledge.
Well, I tell you what, Dennis is a fisher man, and I love him. I won't call him Jarrell because that's what they call you in the military.
Most people in the military, they call you by your rank and your last name, and pretty much it's just stuck over the years.
Originally from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Like so many of our viewers, been around the world and settled here in Panama City.
Several times.
And what brought you to my mind, and we stay in contact because he's always sending me pictures of all the fish he catches. And I'm telling you, he catches a lot. We got pictures coming up. He recently took a offshore trip with some of your old high school buddies. Tell us about that.
Well, I went off with John Law, and I had, it started off 4 guys from Cincinnati were coming down. It went down to 3, and then it went down to 2. I guess when you get our age, things just start falling apart.
Yep.
So Chris Knox joined in, another guy named Brian Harvey, and Al Kirkman.
Yeah, I know those guys. And John Law, the captain, I know all those guys. I know y'all had a grand time.
We did. Al Kirkman, he was the first guy to put a fish on board.
Okay.
And he put a large red snapper on, so I knew then that my work was cut out for the day.
It was going to get serious then.
It got serious, and we caught our limit on red snapper. We also got a limit on beeliners. And we caught some red grouper. It was a real good day out.
That's awesome. We got all kind of pictures, and we talk about it as we get older. We try to get organized, and because we get forgetful. You're good about making a list of things to do. Now, so tell us what you do when you make your list.
Okay, what I do is the night before I'm going fishing, I usually go out and I'll look at my rod and reels. I get a weather forecast and see what the temperature of the water is, whether the surf is high or low, the wind. From there, I'll go to my garage and I'll look at my rod and reels. They're all color coded, so.
Okay. Let's see, we got pictures color coded, so here they are right here.
Okay, the 3 bottom ones are pretty much the ones I use most of the time. They're all 12 pounds.
Okay.
The top one to the left is 15 pounds. And the one with the brown line on it is 20 pounds.
Okay.
So based on what's biting at the time are the ones I pull down.
What a cool setup, 12 pounds, then 15 and 20.
Yeah.
Good setup.
Normally I don't do anything over 20. You tend to miss a few bites, and the fish get finicky and swim around it. So I like to keep it at that, and then it's more fun fishing the lighter you can.
And here's another picture of them too. you brought up a good point. I pick from these before I go out, so you're all set. And you brought up a good point about trying to be as light as you can, but yeah, you don't want to lose them.
Right. Those are some of my rod and reels.
Yeah.
I have a few of them that I took down for maintenance. I said, while the water's so warm, let me make sure I've got all the salt off of them, re-oil them, and just simple maintenance. And when you get ready to go, everything is ready to go.
We talk about this is so important, little things, just those little things like that.
Right.
Because when you get out there, something happens, you can prevent that without maintenance. That's just little things like that.
Right.
That's cool. Well,
Also, I have a checklist.
Okay.
And before I go out, I put that checklist either on my dash or on my car seat. That way I don't forget anything. My wife says I'd forget my head if it wasn't attached to me. But it'll say little simple things like hat, sunglasses, sunblock. And believe it or not, black people, you do need sunblock. I know we a little bit darker, but you do burn.
When I was coaching track all those years and all, I would make sure all my athletes, all my runners, put this on in the middle of the day on a Saturday at 1 o'clock.
Yes.
Well, but making that list, as we get older, we get more forgetful.
We do.
And I find myself doing the same thing. I double check this and double check that. But you have to put it down and write it.
I put it down because it's always something you forget, and usually it's my bait. I'll use 2-3 different types of baits. I use sand fleas, shrimp, fish bites.
Yeah.
And the shrimp, normally I put in the refrigerator and keep them cool till the next morning. Usually that's the thing I forget. If I'm close enough to home, I'll circle and go back. Otherwise, I have to go with something else.
Yeah.
But it all works out pretty good.
Well, quick picture here shows show this one right here now. This is before we go to break. Talk about this one. Now, what a nice fish!
Oh wow, that was a carp.
Yes.
I was fishing Felix Lake with another guy, and we were fishing for brim.
Really?
And I hooked into what I thought was a log, and slowly it started moving, and I said, well. I've got to get it in, so I can't horse it. I've only got these little small hooks on here, and they're real light, and I don't want them to straighten out. So I got him in. I saw what it was, and I said, "Well, I know what they're about." And we took a picture or two, and we released him.
Yeah, but they're fighting fish. They can get pretty strong.
Right, they do.
They do.
They do.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Jarrell. Okay, welcome back. So here we're a fellow fisherman and outdoorsman who loves to do the same thing we all love to do. Dennis Jarrell, Air Force veteran. How many years were you in the Air Force?
I spent 24 years in the Air Force, and I think 19 years of it was overseas.
Overseas. So you got to see a lot of different kind of places.
Yeah, I've pretty much been around the world, 6 of the 7 continents, and a funny thing about it, most of the time spent overseas was sightseeing.
Really?
Right.
And what made y'all decide to settle in Panama City?
Well, people that retire usually retire in Florida, California, New York, and they were too expensive, and I had already bought a house here, so this ended up being home, even though when I first got here, I did not care for Panama City. I asked the taxi driver, when was we getting to the city? He copped an attitude and said, we're already in the city. I said,
you told me that before, but he did love to fish, and he still, way back, and we got some more pictures. What is cool has been the pictures you've sent. Let's talk about this one we're showing right here.
These, well, I call everything panfish, shell crackers and bluegills, crappie, whatever.
These came out of
Felix Lake.
Okay.
That's the spot I fish at, Felix Lake. You can see that everything's pretty much torn down due to the hurricane.
Isn't that amazing? Because Trinidad is so strong, and all the trees are still broken, and like you said, it probably put a lot of the trees in the water
The fish have so many places to hide now that
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to catch them.
Yeah, when I first got to Panama City, I fished out there at Felix Lake. It's also cool. Got them all cleaned up.
Got them cleaned and ready for the skillet.
How'd they taste?
Great. I don't think there's anything better than a crappie.
You know what? They are
That's
good.
saltwater, freshwater fish,
Yeah.
and I love them.
Well, I know you do a whole lot of surf fishing. That's sort of what got us hooked up, was
It
talking
is.
about the surf
Yeah.
fishing back and forth, and you're still doing it. And he brought up a good point. There's a bunch of sharks out there now.
Right now, the water is infested with sharks. Water is 85, 86 degrees, and I was losing so much equipment. You cast out, and a minute or two later, your line was just limp.
Yeah, here's one here that you caught, and they're all, those little sand sharks, I call them like that, and they're all over the place.
But there was a guy fishing less than 30 yards up from me, and he was fishing for sharks. And he was pulling in 5, 6, 7-foot sharks, bull sharks and stuff.
Ooh.
And you would be surprised at the number of people that wade through the water, families that bring their kids out, swim and play in the water, and don't really know what's around them.
Yeah, here it is right here. Sharks have taken over the beach, and this coming from somebody who goes out there on a very regular basis. When Dennis Durrell says sharks out there, he knows what he's talking about. Okay, this is interesting. Okay. Only at one time you're the only one on the water, and now this is what it looks like now.
That's what it looks like.
Isn't that amazing?
The word got out about Pompano, and normally that is Tyndall Beach. Normally I don't fish Tyndall Beach. I fish another area about 10 miles from there. We call it No Name Beach.
I understand. Good place to don't what I'm saying about it. But now that's funny because in the last few years the word do get out of pond. It used to be well kept secret. I guess I contributed to it, talking about it too much. But it's just something that's fun to do. Are most of the people pretty respectable about your distance, or some of them don't know what they're doing? And so
Well, until this year they were.
Really?
You saw that picture with the number of people that were up there.
Yeah.
It used to be a time I could go up there 3-4 days a week and would be the only one up there. Now it's so many people that if you get up there 7 o'clock in the morning, you might as well be prepared to walk a mile to get away from
No
the people.
kidding. Wow.
One guy up there, well, actually it was 3 guys. And between the 3 of them, they had 18 rod and reels in the
Holy
water.
cow! You got to be kidding.
6 apiece.
6 apiece. That's uncalled for. That really is. That's to be just hoggish and bullyish to do that. You don't need that.
Right.
I've always liked to go with 3 at the most and spread them out. But that's just something I hate to see that. All right, here's this picture here. Talk about what we got right here.
That was a lucky day. That's what I call it. It seemed like all that was biting were whiting.
Wow.
And, well, I mean, I love whiting, so I couldn't complain.
Are they good to eat?
They are. Of course, I normally fish with pompano, but I will gladly take whiting any day.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, those whiting that you saw there, I cleaned them, bagged them up, and gave them away.
Okay, we're going to talk about that too. We'll get to that too. Okay, here's another one here.
That's one of the larger whiting.
Nice
I think that was somewhere. If he had been a redfish, he would have been legal. He was 18 inches.
Legal size. This is interesting. You said you've only caught one flounder so far?
One flounder this year, and it just happened to be a doormat.
Oh, yeah? What do you think the reason for that is?
I don't really know. Could be any number of things. I think sooner or later they'll start coming in, but that flounder didn't make it to the refrigerator. My wife, she loves sushi.
Yes.
And so do I.
Fresh. It was fresh, huh?
And fresh. And it was eaten actually it was eaten the next day. She cuts it up and puts it in the refrigerator for a day, and the next day we'll eat it. Oh,
that sounds good. Okay, this next picture here, you did get your redfish. That's out of the surf, right?
Out of the surf.
You can tell by the color of it.
Yeah, that's out of the surf. It's about 24 inches, I think it was. And I filleted it,
I was gonna say, how do you cook that one?
steam. My wife never fries fish. So if I get fried fish, it's a real treat. The only thing I get fried is something like crappie or freshwater fish.
Yeah.
But any saltwater fish, she steams, broils, or bakes.
What'd you catch that redfish on? You remember?
If I remember right, a piece of shrimp.
It's a shrimp. Okay, so you can't beat that. Okay, we'll get to the. We got some other pictures coming up too, but y'all eat a lot of fish, don't you?
Yes, we do. It's good for you.
Yeah, it is.
And well, you can see I'm not really fat.
But mainly, for bait, you take out shrimp. What else? Fish bites.
Fish bites. Fish bites. I can zip them up and they last a long time.
Yeah.
And I'll take sand fleas. Well, a sand flea rake. And
Do you
try to
are you
catch
still
them.
finding them pretty good or okay or?
Not a lot, but there was a guy fishing next to me, and he came up to me and he asked me, "Do you mind if I look for sand fleas in front of your rod and reels?"
Oh,
I
nice.
said, "Well, all this beach, why in front of my rod and reels?" But since he asked, and I really can't do anything about it, I allowed him to.
Yeah.
And he picked up a few,
Okay.
and he was nice enough to give them to me.
Oh, that's cool.
And
cool.
he showed me how to really catch sand fleas. He said, you go out here and you look for the breaks in the water and so forth, and where the tide is going back
Yeah.
out. He said, that's the same place you fish. Well, guess what? That's the same place that the sand fleas are.
That's cool.
And there are people all up and down the beach just hunting and missing.
Yeah.
And I followed what he told me, and believe it or not, it works.
That's cool. Let's take a final break. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Let's take a look at our fishing game times. Part two is about blue water outriggers looking at 127 to 327 a day. Now you are just an outdoorsman. I know you love to fish, but you love nature, all of nature itself. And you sent some cool pictures, so we're going to jump away from fishing for a minute, but y'all can identify with this kind of stuff here. Check out this. These things are beautiful, aren't they?
I took that picture in my yard.
Oh, cool.
So many beautiful butterflies. I used to just admire their beauty. And finally, I saw in a movie where a guy had a box, a shallow box, with a lot of butterflies in it. So I said, well, I can do that too.
Oh, cool.
So
you made this collection. Look at this.
Yeah, that's part of my collection. I also do bees, and I'll do beetles.
Oh, cool. You're a nature guy. All right, listen. All right, this scared to me. Bees, look at that. There was any water meter?
That was in my water meter. I was cutting grass, and I kept hearing a lot of buzzing and seeing bees around, but they weren't on the trees.
Yeah.
So I investigated a little further, and there was a hole in my water meter, and they were coming and going. So I said, well, I've got to do something about it. My wife said, oh, don't bother them. I said, well, you just never know. Something could happen, and you need to turn the water off, and you can't get in. So
you took care of them. Here you go. You all set up here. You got your outfit on, and you took care of them.
Actually, I had to call somebody. I knew how to do it, but had never done it, didn't have the equipment.
Okay.
My grandmother's yard had some bees, and they called someone in, and I watched them. So
Okay.
I called someone in, and they wanted to take my bees and charge me $200.
Oh, my goodness.
So I said, I'll do this myself. I got a call back, and I don't remember who I called, but they told me, we have a lady that wants your bees.
Okay.
And she took them for nothing, and we got to talking about them, and I knew as much about them as her. So she
Okay.
asked me if I wanted to help. So
that's what happened.
I did.
Okay.
And got some of the honey as well.
Oh, that's good. Fresh
fresh honey.
Real quick, some birds. You enjoy your birds?
That's in my yard. Actually, they're, I forget what kind of bird it was, mockingbird.
Yeah, I always send a picture of that to my grandkids. Okay, then you've had a good year on pompano, several limits.
Several limits, not as good as last year, and they are a little harder to catch keepers this year. Most of them were running small, but I think I got my limit about 4, maybe 5 times.
Oh, good for you. Okay, let's. We got a couple minutes left. I want to get back to this trip you took with your high school buddies. You know, your high school friends are always special, no matter what stage of life, because you have that bond with them.
Right.
So you got them coming down here. So here's this picture of y'all on the fishing trip recently. And who are your buddies here? They're going to be watching us in Cincinnati?
They come down from Cincinnati. They come down once a year and spend a week with me, and they like to snapper fish.
And
what's your name? On the left is Paul Rowley. The guy with the red shirt is Charles Cottrell.
All right. So and you were such a good buddy, a good friend. Tell us what you did right here.
Well, those are the fish that I've caught in the surf this year. They're already bagged and clean, and you can see that's a large cooler. I gave them all to them to take back up north with them.
Oh man, I know they appreciated that.
They did, and that's in addition to what we caught out on deep sea trip.
With the snapper and the beeliners too, so they took back some fish. I bet they had a couple of fish fries. You reckon?
Snappers, beeliners. Yeah, they're already talking about it. But I gave them fillets of redfish, some whiting, and some pompano.
That is so cool. Well, listen, you know you're a good friend. I know they appreciated it, and we want to say a good shout out up there in Cincinnati, and y'all come back every year. Come back twice a year now, beginning of summer and end of summer, maybe.
I sure hope so. And in fact, my wife told them to come in the fall when it's not quite so hot.
That's true. We're going to have to wrap up the rest of your summer. You got fishing all lined up?
Pretty much so. I just play it by ear.
Yeah.
Right now I'm kind of waiting and hoping the water might cool off a little bit. It seems like mostly sharks, catfish, and other junk fish are out there right now. But when the water cools off, the pompano will show back up.
All right. You keep sending pictures. We'll keep, when I'm showing you here, I say, here's Jarrell, Dennis Jarrell. That's who you're talking about right here. This fellow knows how to fish, and real people right here on Panhandle Outdoors. That's what we love about the show, just real people.
Right.
Don't have any movie stars, just folks who love the outdoors. I appreciate you coming on. So good to see you again.
It's always nice to come on your show.
It
really is. I enjoy it.
All right. Take care, folks. Y'all do something good today for your fellow man. Well, like you did with that ice chest full of fish. Y'all have a great day. Enjoy the outdoors. Take care of it, and God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.